Start the live here. And so what we're going to talk about this morning, which I hope that it's coming up. I am not seeing I'm not seeing my picture. There we go. Okay. We are up and live. I see myself in the studio. Excuse me, I'm going to have some stuff with my throat this morning, so hopefully I'm not coughing too much. But where we're going to start today is we're going to talk about investing. And so the first week of this 4 week series, we covered, and thank you, Lisa J, for being here. I've said hi to CL Fantasy Waves, Oki, Wayne is here, Julie Jordan Scott is here, and Julie from Happy on Monday had to leave, but she's going to watch the replay. So, so anyway, week one we talked about spend less than you earn. That's the beginning of this, and track your finances. Track what's coming in and what's going out. And so then we talked about in week two getting rid of your debt. Now, there's good debt, bad debt, there's a whole debate on that. And so we're not going to go into that debate. But if you feel that debt doesn't work for you, whatever that is for you, then get rid of that debt. I have student loan debt, and that worked out really well for me. Part of it is because, one, I worked for a public agency, so I'm going for public service loan forgiveness. Two is I ended up getting a PhD, which helped me get other jobs that's still funding my retirement. So school loans worked for me, but they don't work for everybody. But this week, we are going to get into, one, how to start investing. And if you really want the deep dive on that, then you have to go to Lisa J Stocks, because she's the one that can give you the deep dive on that. But we're gonna cover what we can cover in an hour. And so what I'm gonna say is the greatest financial mistake isn't investing too little. It's never starting. And that's really the key. And so today is a special day that I wanted to wear some of my jewelry. I don't normally wear my jewelry, but this actually ties in to the investing. I have had this jewelry for about 34 years, for many, many years. Now, if you think about this, I bought this jewelry before I started investing. And so what this jewelry did, because I always had this in my back pocket, I said, if everything crashes, I can sell this stuff. See? So have yourself a little bit of a nest egg and start your investing. Whatever that tiny little thing is that gives you security, whether it's a small emergency fund, whether it's being debt-free, whatever it is that makes you comfortable in investing, start investing as soon as possible. And so the story about this jewelry was I was living in Saudi Arabia, working for the Air Force at the time as a contractor. And so I bought this gold when it was $300 an ounce. That was many, many years ago. Gold is now $4,000 an ounce. So this was an investment. And so everything you do is an investment, whether you're investing in yourself, whether you're investing in the stock market, whether you're investing in real estate, it's the same. It has its ups and downs. Gold has not gone exactly from $300 to $4,000 an ounce. It's gone up, it's gone down. With macroeconomies, it goes up, it goes down. But what I have done is I've never sold it. And so if you have investments that you want to hold on to for a long time, don't sell them. Some people buy and hold real estate. Some people flip properties. So they get something for a short time and they sell it, they make a massive profit, and then they move on to the next one. Or they lose money. Investing is not a guaranteed way of making money. So what we're going to talk about today are the beginning parts of investment, not the advanced strategies of investment. And so I am an accredited investor. That's more of an advanced strategy of investing. And so that's not what we're going to talk about here today. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about how do we start, right? And I love Lisa J. Stock's channel. I'll keep referring to her today because she's the investing person. Hi, Christiana. And so, I was going to make a joke that Julie at Happy on Monday, last week she made a video about investing. And I told her, I said, I'm going to sit here on my live and just read the transcript from your video. So she made a really good video about investing. But investing has to be something that makes you comfortable. You can't invest the way that I invest, or you can't invest the way somebody else invests. And that's the difference, like between Julie at Happy on Monday and me. She has 10 years worth of her expenses in cash, just in case the stock market goes down. Excuse me, just in case the stock market goes down for 10 years, which could happen. It's not likely, but it could happen. That lets her pass the pillow test. I pass the pillow test because I have multiple streams of income. And so you have to do whatever works for you, and there's no right way, there's no wrong way. Just do what works best for you. That's what I'm going to say. And for me, it was having this jewelry plus some other jewelry. I don't know if you guys can see my little diamond ring here, but anyway, I bought this diamond ring in Amsterdam. Some of my friends said, I was in London, and some of my friends said, you should go to Amsterdam and get a ring, right? And get a diamond from the direct diamond factories where they make the rings and everything. And so I did. Now, I had to max out a credit card. So everybody don't come for me in the chat, okay? I had to max out 2 credit cards to buy this ring. But I saw it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And it really was. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go and buy a diamond ring in Amsterdam from the place where they get the diamonds and make the rings. So they taught me about color, about cut. They taught me about all the things about diamonds. And so anyway, I went on to have other custom-made jewelry. And I have a lot of stuff. A lot of my stuff is custom. This is called a waterfall, right? And I didn't know that at the time. But a lot of my jewelry is all custom made. It's all one-of-a-kind pieces. And I just happen to like that. I happen to like one-of-a-kind pieces. Now, do I wear this stuff all the time? No. Very, very rarely. I forgot that I had this. I went to my safe deposit box to get my jewelry, and I said, I have a waterfall with a diamond in it? That's how many years it's been. So we're going to get off of that stuff. So let's get to, because I really want to get through all these points, let's get to the investing. And why does investing seem hard to people? Part of it is that some people want to make money on you, and I'm not against financial advisors. I am a DIY investor, so I do it myself. I don't have the amount of money in the stock market that some financial advisors want you to have. Like, I don't have $250,000 in assets for them to manage, or $500,000 or $1 million. I don't have that. So I am a DIY investor. Most of my investments are in real estate, but I'm not here to try and say real estate is better than the stock market. Lisa J, again, makes a good point that you can start in the stock market with $5. I could argue, yeah, you could start in real estate with $5, but that's not the issue here. It's a lot easier to start with an account like Robinhood or Moo, those kinds of things, with $5. And that's my point, is start from where you are. And if all you have extra is $5, start there, but start. That's the real point, is to start. So you don't have to have it complicated. I don't give financial advice unless it's friends and family. So I will tell you what I tell my friends and family who sometimes they don't have a lot of money. So they can't afford to pay fees for some of these investments. Now, Fidelity has four mutual funds that are fee free. And they do that so that they can get people through the door of Fidelity and get you into their ecosystem. So they call these money loss leaders, right? And this is the example. Costco sells their hot dogs for the same price that they've always sold their hot dogs, which means they're losing money on the hot dogs. But people go to Costco to get the hot dogs and end up going into Costco to do their shopping. So loss leaders help get people through the door. I personally have told family members and friends that if you don't have a lot of money and you want all of your money that you're investing to work for you, then put it in one of Fidelity's free funds. And they have an S&P 500. I think it's actually a total stock market. Excuse me. I want to make sure I get that right. But look things up for yourself. Never trust someone else. Because I will tell you, that's how I've lost money investing. When I listen to somebody else say, Daryl, you should buy this. And I think, well, my friend knows exactly what he's talking about. I'll buy that. And I've lost money. I've lost money every time. So I follow the Warren Buffett strategy. And I've had to lose money in investing to learn don't do that anymore. I've lost money loaning people money to do investments. I've lost money buying what other people suggested I buy as investments. People chasing the latest hot stock or hot sector, right? I lose money every time. So Warren Buffett says, buy what you know and buy what you use. Buy what you understand. And that's what I do. So hopefully I will stop coughing through this. I buy real estate because I'm comfortable with real estate more than I am with the stock market. I had money in the stock market when I was overseas buying this stuff, and I was living in Saudi Arabia. I could not buy anything. At least I didn't know how, and it was the beginning of the internet. That's how old it was. Anyway, when I came back from Saudi Arabia, I had stock in Harley Davidson because I always wanted to own a Harley Davidson motorcycle. And today I do, but at the time I couldn't buy one, so I just bought the stock. Well, the stock was doing really well. And so I sold that stock and bought my very first home, which was a condo in Vermont, a little 2-bedroom condo. And so I got a little bit out of the stock market and bought real estate. Because a friend of mine told me, they said, Daryl, when you come back from overseas, buy dirt. I didn't understand it at the time, but buying real estate has worked out really well for me. It doesn't work out well day to day. I'm going through some rough times in my real estate investing right now, today. But over the years, and this is the thing about investing, you are not investing for the short term. I did not buy real estate for this month's income. I bought real estate for the income 5 years from now. So if you are an investor, if you're investing in the stock market, it's a long-term investment. And the longer you invest, the better you're going to do. I think that it says if you've invested for 20 years, there's no 20-year period in the stock market where the stock market has lost money. So if you have time, if you're not older like me, if you have time to invest, start when you're young. You know, and so that's the thing. The market rewards patience more than intelligence. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to have the patience. But also make sure that you're comfortable with what you're investing in. Now, I have a very tiny bit of crypto, very tiny, because I listened to other people. I bought the crypto they told me to buy, and it went down in value. And so I'm glad that I only have a very, very tiny bit of crypto. So it's not going to change my life to lose the money. I don't even have $200 worth. And that's okay because I'm holding it for the long term. So again, long-term investing. And Lisa has put in the chat the Fidelity Zero Funds, which is FNILX, which is a large cap index, and that could be the S&P 500. FZIPX, Extended Market Index, FZROX, Total Market Index, and that's what I tell my family members. I don't tell anybody I know, I don't tell anybody on social media what to do. Family members and friends who have very little money, I say just put it in the total stock market. And their money has grown. Now, there have been years where, and I'll talk about a relative real quick, who put money in based on my recommendation, and I help them set up the account and everything, and automatically they're investing, which is dollar cost averaging. My relative has made good money. Now, right after I had my relative start at Fidelity, there was 2 years where the market was flat. But my relative had confidence that they were building their retirement account and that they were going to keep putting money in every paycheck. So they were dollar cost averaging. And we're going to talk about dollar cost averaging in a minute. But my point is that if you have any amount of money, no matter what it is, and you can put it in on a regular basis, or better yet, if you can automate your investing. Let's talk about the 401k because we're going to talk about automating investing. When your employer offers you a match, take it. I don't care whether you're paying off debt, I don't care. Never leave that free money on the table. Whether they match 50%, whether they match 100%, get the free money. Now, most people become millionaires in their 401k retirement account. And for the government people like me, it's called the Thrift Savings Plan. And so I did not become a millionaire in the Thrift Savings Plan. I did not become a millionaire before I retired. I retired with $233,000 in my savings, in investments. What I had was multiple streams of income. So you don't have to have one or the other. You can have a mix. You can have your own business. Maybe you have the YouTube side hustle. A lot of people quit their jobs and do YouTube full time as a creator, or they may do all social media. I don't want to say just YouTube, because I do only YouTube. But some people do YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There are all these social media platforms where you can make money. Now, I will say that if you're making money on social media, yes, you put a little bit aside for taxes, but invest a little bit of that money. You know, you guys have heard me talk about Mary at Pennies Not Perfection. And she does that. She's a full-time YouTube creator, actually social media creator, I'll say that. But she's full-time, you know, as a creator on YouTube. And while her income is variable, just like my real estate income, it's variable. She takes a little bit of her social media income and puts it in the stock market. So take a little bit of your paycheck if you're working a 9-to-5 and put it in the stock market. Now, when I was working multiple jobs and working for the federal government, I was able to max out my retirement account. And so if I don't say anything else, do your best to max out your retirement account. Now, you might start at putting away 10% of your retirement account. Then you can up it each year by 1 or 2% so that you don't miss the money. And anytime that you get a raise, take part of your raise and add to your retirement savings. So this is not all about deprivation. Now for me, I'll tell you my story, it wasn't so much deprivation as it was fear. My job was toxic and it was always threatening to fire me. So I was in a hurry to build up my retirement account because one, I started with very little. Two, I never knew when they were going to pull the trigger and fire me. So that was my work situation. You may not have that situation. Some of you really love what you do, but I did not. I did it just because it paid my bills. And if that's what your 9 to 5 does, keep doing it until you can build that runway. It's like pulling the boat up to the dock. You need to get the boat close enough where you can jump onto the dock. And however you do that, that's however you do it. Maybe you create art and you're selling your art at farmers markets. I have a friend up in Washington State who does that. He does beautiful watercolor and he sells them at farmers markets. So all of these different things, however you feel comfortable, that's what you should do. So, Christiana is saying, that's what I have. So she's saying that to Lisa J. Stocks. According to a comparison from ChatGPT, performance has been almost identical. There are similar funds out there. And so you could use, nowadays we have ChatGPT, which we didn't have, before. Not that I rely 100% on ChatGPT, but I have fed my rental statements, my monthly rental statements for the last 5 years into ChatGPT and said, what do you think of my rental portfolio? If I had to sell a property, which one, based on your analysis of maintenance, of turnover costs, of all the rehab fixes, which one do you recommend that I would sell? And so ChatGPT took about 15 minutes to go through 5 years worth of PDFs and came back and gave me a beautiful Excel file and told me it recommended the 10 properties that I should sell, right? Because you guys know I have more than 10. So it said, okay, ranking from 1 to 10 in this order is what you should be selling. So I sent this Excel file to my property management company and I said, what do you guys think? Because you guys are the ones that are dealing with these rentals day to day. And my property manager came back and he said ChatGPT was right. That this one particular address is the one that we should look at first. So that's in my future. That's in my future to pare down my real estate investing to increase cash flow. Now, what happens when you increase cash flow? It gives you more to invest in the stock market. See, it's holistic. It's not just a one way to look at things. Everything flows into everything else. So as you all can see, Lisa J. Stocks much more well-versed in this particular week's stuff than me. So I want to mention, as we talk about investing and keeping it simple, I want to mention the book by J.L. Collins called The Simple Path to Wealth. Many people in the FIRE movement, because I'm in the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, and I was able to retire early based on multiple streams of income, not based on a big, huge amount of money in investments. But have your backup plan. If this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. No one's ever going to say, hey, quit your job and have no plan. My plan was, when my teaching income reached the level of my 9 to 5 income, well, then I can let the 9 to 5 income go because I have the same level of income with my side hustle. So build up your side hustle to replace your 9 to 5, if that's your strategy. So we'll go back to the book, The Simple Path to Wealth. This is a very easy book. And what it is J.L. Collins wrote a bunch of letters to his daughter to tell her how to invest. And people said, you should take all of those letters and put them in a book. And it has become an icon of a book, The Simple Path to Wealth. And he says, buy an index fund, hold it, and retire. And so people call this, there's a Vanguard fund that he recommends. But whatever that Vanguard fund is, the name of it, is do that and chill. VFAIX, I don't know what it is. But anyway, get this mutual fund and just chill. Just put money in every paycheck, right? Again, dollar cost averaging. And if you can automate it, you will become wealthy because you get used to living below your means. And that's really the basis of this strategy. So it's all 4 weeks together. It's not just do one thing from 1 week. You've got to live below your means. You have to lower your debt or get rid of your debt. Do your investing. All of this runs together to build wealth and retire early. And that's what I'm all about. My channel is financial independence, retire early. And if I could do this, coming from being homeless, see, and we'll talk about my jewelry. I didn't get this jewelry until 6 years after I was out of the homeless shelter. So I did not know when I was sitting in the homeless shelter, 6 years later, you'll be sitting in Saudi Arabia, working in Saudi Arabia, buying gold jewelry. Had no clue. I just kept doing the next best thing that I could do, whatever that looked like. And in the beginning, it was fishing for food. So we all start from wherever we are. And we start investing little by little. And so that's what I've done. And so because of that, I've been able to build assets. And that's the whole lesson with all of this. And we're going to get into the assets next week. But investing, you are building assets. And eventually, those assets will pay more for your liabilities than you're paying. Right now, I'm paying for a mortgage. I'm paying for internet. I'm paying for cell phone data usage or whatever I pay for my cell phone. My assets eventually, and not today, but eventually will pay for all of these liabilities. And that's where we are, that's why we start investing, but that's where the investments will go to. So it's not just invest, 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 and never ever spend the money or enjoy the money. That's not what this is about. So if you can, and you could probably get The Simple Path to Wealth. I'm real big on free. Everybody knows that. I have a list of books that are free on YouTube. There's Die with Zero. There is, there's a real estate investing book that I wanted to recommend, but I can't think of the exact name of it right now. But all of these are free on YouTube. They're free audiobooks. Now, I know some people pay for their audiobooks and that kind of thing, but I want to talk about free. Because if you know me, you know free is my price point, okay? If it doesn't cost any money, I'm in. And that's why we don't have memberships or anything like that on my channel, and never will, because my channel is free, except someday I hope to get money from the advertisers to donate to the homeless. That's all I want. I want advertiser money. Which makes me take a little side trip before the live. And Wayne always reminds me to go check my watch hours. I'm finally above 1,850 watch hours, which may not be a lot for some people, but for me, it's a miracle. And I will take it. So we'll go with that. So when I talked about Julie earlier at Happy on Monday, and her video last week was about compound interest. And I said, I could just sit here, on my investment live and just talk about compound interest. because the longer you invest, the more it compounds. And just like if you have a high yield savings account and you're getting 4% and it's compounding, right? So, you get $110 after a year, and then that $110 turns into $130 because now you're compounding on 110 when you only started with 100. Well, your investments work the same way, because when you start investing, especially in the stock market, we'll say you set up a setting that says reinvest dividends. So you're reinvesting your dividends. The stock price is growing over time. I think we had a red day a day or two ago where the stock market was down. There's going to be ups and downs, but over the long term, and this is what we're talking about here, is long-term investing. We're not talking about day trading or doing short-term investments. We're trying to time the market. Christiana says this, it's more important for time in the market than timing the market. And a lot of people say that, but I got it from Christiana. So all of these things is the same in real estate. I am putting in the years, right? It's like exercising. You're putting in the reps. I'm putting in the years of hard work with my real estate investing. And sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes there are red days, just like the stock market, going down, okay? And I'm having red days right now in my real estate investing. It's the long term. It's the long game. See, I'm only in the first quarter. We still have 3 quarters of the game left to go. So I have a lot to do in the next 3 quarters to win the game. There you go. There's my sports analogy for the day. So what we're talking about here is starting out small and starting out with just planting 1 seed and 1 tree. We're trying to grow a forest by investing. And sometimes it looks like nothing's happening. And so here is my story that I get from one of my motivational mentors, and Les Brown. And what he talks about is, he says, a bamboo, when you start planting a bamboo, it stays under the ground for 5 years. And then within 1 year, it shoots up to 10 feet tall. So that's your investing, is it's staying underground, and people will come up to you and they'll say, what you doing? And you say, well, I'm trying to grow bamboo. And people come up to you and they say, we don't see anything happening. And they say, how long have you been watering that piece of ground? Oh, I've been watering it for 3 years, 4 years. And they said, even Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder can see there's nothing growing there. Sometimes that's the beginning of our investing life. But after time, it shoots to 10 feet tall. And that's compound interest. See, over time, your money starts working harder than you can. And that's what I'm trying to do with my real estate investing, is I'm trying to get my real estate to work harder than I can. And I'm also trying to get my investments to grow. So I may sell off a couple of pieces of real estate to increase the cash flow to invest in the stock market. Why? Diversification. See, and that's why an index fund is a simple, easy way to start. You're diversified either into the top 500 companies in America, or you're diversified into all the companies in America. And I believe there's like 3,500 companies in the stock market. So a total stock market fund is not going to have all 3,500. Okay? It's going to have 3,200 or something. No one's saying it's going to have the entire every single company, because companies come up and fail. And this is the beauty of an index fund, that as a company goes down or goes out of favor for whatever reason, they are removed and another company comes in. But it's not something you have to pick. And so, just like J.L. Collins says, you keep dollar cost averaging in. And over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, your money starts making more money than you do. So when you hit that crossover point, and this is what I did with my teaching income and my 9 to 5 income, right? So let's talk real numbers. I was demoted with the federal government. And so I went from 6 figures down to $80,000 a year. And when I retired, I was making about $80,000 a year because I had a 1% raise, right? I want you guys to hear this. This is pitiful. I had a 1% raise for the last 7 years that I was working for the federal government. And my bosses designed it that way. So I had to get out and hustle on my own if I wanted more money. They had no plans on ever giving me back a 6-figure income. So what I did was, now this was a blessing, right? Because I told you it was toxic. The blessing was they taught me to live on less than what I made. And I still, to this day, live on less than what I made. So it was very easy for me, we say easy, it took me about 3 years, but it was easy for me to match that $80,000 a year income with my teaching. So when I did that, I then only needed $80,000 or less to live on. And so because I lived below my means, I didn't really need the whole $80,000. But when my teaching income reached the $80,000, I said, I've made it. When your stock market income, your dividends and your appreciation in stocks, when your stocks are buying you more stocks, basically, all of that, when that reaches more income than your annual salary, you are technically financially free. Now, whether you feel that way or whether you're comfortable with that, that's all depends on you and what your lifestyle is. And so let's talk about lifestyle, because that goes a long way in investing. It goes a long way in my investing, right? We know, and I've told you guys this, I try to live on 10% of my income or less, right? That's not something you start out doing when you first start investing. Part of it was when they demoted me at work and I went down from 6 figures to 70 something thousand, and then finally after 7 years back to 80,000, right? When all of that happened, I had to make a conscious decision. I was going to live on less money. And I was really going to live on less and less money. Well, I kept doing that. And I kept finding ways to be frugal. And I'm a minimalist. I don't need to buy a bunch of things. This stuff was bought 34 years ago. So I haven't bought jewelry in many, many, many years. And this jewelry, as you can see, I don't even wear anymore. So stuff that you bought many years ago, you may not even wear anymore. Clothes that you bought. I'm retired. I don't need a full closet full of clothes. Some people do. I'm not judging anybody. I don't. That's all I'm talking about is me. So when you live below your means and you're very frugal, that maximizes the money you have for debt payoff. That maximizes the amount of money you have for investing. And then your investments grow and start to pay you more than what you're making. So let's talk about what I'm trying to replace in income today. So first, I replaced my 9 to 5 income with my teaching income. Now I want to replace my teaching income with my rental income. Also, I have Social Security. So I have a pension, I have Social Security, I have teaching income, and I have rental income. And I live on 10%. You combine all of these multiple streams of income and low cost of living. I do not go out with lifestyle inflation. I have no reason to go out with lifestyle inflation. And this is what I'm learning from all of you. This is why I watch personal finance creators on YouTube. I watch Lisa J. Stock. She teaches me about which stocks I should be investing in, and I still have very little invested in the stock market. But here's my point, is I have retirement accounts at my 2 colleges where I teach. Because I'm an adjunct, they do not offer any kind of match because I'm not a full-time professor at their college. But I put money into my retirement accounts every single paycheck. It's not a lot because I'm paying off debt, but I have not stopped investing a tiny bit of money every single paycheck. Now, once my rental income, and I pay off my debt, and my rental income starts replacing my teaching income, all of that teaching income goes into investing in those retirement accounts. See, you have to have a holistic plan for all of your money. Not just, I will do this one little bit with this money over here, or I'll do this little bit with, no, it's all together, right? So have a plan, have an investing plan. And here's where I was going with this, is have a goal, right? I watch YouTube creators who are much more successful than me in investing. And I say, I want to someday be like them. So find yourself an unofficial mentor. That's what I have. Excuse me, I just spilled some coffee. So hope I didn't spill it on my shirt. Hope not. But anyway, here's Daryl and being an old guy on YouTube. So have an unofficial mentor, whether that's on social media. I have a guy who taught me about investing in real estate. And what he said was, live off of your 9 to 5 and take your side hustle income and invest that in real estate. And so I did that. I lived on less than my 9 to 5 income with the federal government, and I took my teaching income and I invested it in real estate. Now, years later, the real estate is going to replace the teaching income. And so that's always been my strategy. Replace one income with another income. My Social Security came in. So now I'm using that to help pay off the debt, so that eventually I can invest my Social Security income. Did you guys hear none of this is about spending? I am not making this money to run out and spend it. I don't need new shoes. I don't need a new this or a new that. One of my goals is to pay cash for a car. I have never paid cash for a car. I've always had car payments. Because of watching people, mostly I watch YouTube. I'm not so much on the other social medias. By watching people on YouTube, I want to pay cash for a car. It's a goal, it's a dream. I have a whole lot that's before that to get there. I have to pay off the debt. I have to invest a lot more money. I have to save up the cash. All of these different things come before just pay cash for a car. And so that's what I'm trying to say, is find people who are where you want to be, whatever that looks like, and do what they did. And that's why I watch so many personal finance creators. I watch budgeting creators. I watch people saving an emergency fund. You all know I have a baby emergency fund. I'm just starting to build an emergency fund, and life is hitting me. These last few months, I have had nothing but life hitting me. And I'll talk to you all more about that in August. I'll make a video about that. But see, this is what happens. When you start heading in the right direction, you have to keep moving forward, even though life keeps happening. So you have to keep investing, even though life keeps happening. Oh, well, I need a new tire on my car. Oh, well, I had this going on. You still have to keep investing. And this is where the automation part starts. See, if you automate your investing, let's say from your paycheck, you automate $5 a paycheck, $10 a paycheck, and you get used to living without that money, then it's easier when you get a pay raise to say, I'm not going to have lifestyle creep. Now, some of us have children. I need to acknowledge that. And so some of us have family members we have to take care of. Okay, all of that affects your life. Do what works best for you. Let's say you're on a fixed income. You can still invest. In certain states, they have accounts where people on fixed incomes are allowed to have money in investments. I have a friend that was on Social Security disability. She was able to buy a house. And people think, oh, because I'm on government assistance, I can't buy things or I can't have this amount of money. You have to check out your state laws. They have these accounts, I believe they're called ABLE accounts. So check your state for the ABLE accounts. So if you're on a fixed income, don't tell yourself, I can't invest. You just have to find the legal way to do it. So we talked about that. And you know, I'm going to get off of the whole compounding thing, but the compounding is like a snowball. It's the same way as snowballing your debt. You snowball your income with your investments. And then eventually your investments just grow on their own. They just grow on their own. I told you about how I used some of my rental properties to buy other rental properties as the down payment. So I wasn't coming out of pocket for money to buy more rental properties. I had paid off rental properties and I used those. And so you ask yourself, well, how did you get the paid off rental properties? I didn't pay them off. What happened was the market rose, just like in the stock market. The property values rose, and when I went to get another loan from the bank said, we only need 3 of these rental properties. You have 4 properties here, so we'll take these 3 for the loan, and you can have this 1 property free and clear. So it was not me paying off the properties, it was the market. And the stock market does the same thing. It grows and grows and grows over a long period of time. So the key is start small, get in there, and let it do its thing. Let the market do its thing. Don't pull your money out when the market starts going down, because now you've locked in your losses. You don't want to do that. If I sold my real estate when the real estate market went down, I would just sell it at a lower price. And I don't want to do that. So, but what I do want to do, based on my unofficial mentors here on YouTube, is I want to now pay off my rental properties. See, 5 years ago, paying off rental properties was not part of my plan. So your plan changes. And you have to roll with wherever you are in life. If you are young and just starting out, you can be more aggressive. If you are older, you may want to become more conservative. I've never been conservative. I've always been aggressive. For whatever reason, at my age, I'm starting to become more conservative. And so I'm like, you know what? I would love to have 10 years of cash in case of 10 years of my income. Now, granted, I am on Social Security, I'm on a pension. Those are fixed incomes that I'm going to get for the rest of my life. So I don't necessarily need 10 years in cash in case my income goes away for whatever reason. That income is never going away. That's my floor. I need income that's above that to continue to come in case I decide that I don't want to teach anymore. Now, I enjoy my teaching. Trust me, I can do it from anywhere. I can do it from the beach in Belize. I can teach from anywhere. I'm not ready to quit teaching. I really enjoy it. My bosses don't mess with me, which is just a beautiful thing, right? I'm an introvert, so I can do it from home. I don't have to have a whole lot of people sitting around me to teach online. So, and I see Mrs. G here. Thank you, Mrs. G, for coming in. And happy Friday to everyone. So this week we're talking about investing, and we're talking about not increasing your lifestyle right now. If you can live on less and invest the rest. That's always my motto on my channel. So yes, I live on 10% of my income, or I try to. See, in most months I'm living on 12%, 13%. I'm over the 10% limit. So life is never going to go perfectly the way that you planned. But if you have a goal and you keep trying to hit that goal, then your life gets better. And so my goal still stays at 10%. Why? Because I'm in really big debt payoff mode and life is still hitting me. But I am investing while I'm paying off the debt. And so my thing is that you never stop investing, even if it's a tiny bit. And I need all of my teaching income as much as I can to try to pay down the debt that I got myself into. So what I do is I still invest a very tiny bit every paycheck into the retirement accounts at the colleges, because I refuse to invest zero. I refuse. I've cut it way back, and hopefully by 2027 I could start investing whole paychecks again. Because I live on such a small amount of my income, I am normally able to invest 100% of my teaching income. And when you invest that aggressively, your stock portfolio grows. And I show that at the end of each month, right? And right now I think I'm up to around 150,000 in my teaching retirement accounts. So I'm rebuilding the amount of money that I started with 6 years ago when I retired. And it could be 7 years. I'm losing track because I'm having so much fun in retirement that I can't remember when I retired early. So we are at 52 minutes, so we are going to keep going with this. So the title of this was How to Make Your First Million. And you make your first million by saving your first $100. It's that simple. Then your first $500. Then your first $1,000. Now, all of this grows. And Warren Buffett's partner, Charlie Munger, he said you have to get to $100,000. And I just mentioned I'm at $150,000 in my teaching accounts, my teaching retirement accounts. You have to get to the $100,000 mark. When you get to that amount of money and your investments start to grow on their own, now you're still contributing. You're still contributing. However, when your money starts making more money than you're contributing, that's when things really start looking good, right? So I'm putting in a very tiny amount into my teaching retirement accounts right now. That 150,000 is bringing in more than what I'm putting in. If I'm only putting in $5 a paycheck, I'm making more a month than the $10 that I'm putting in. This is why you want to get to that $100,000 mark. And so when you get there and you're still contributing, but your money is working on its own, and that compound interest will get you to $1 million. And $1 million sounds like a lot of money, and it used to be a lot of money, and nowadays they're saying that's not enough money. Well, I retired on $233,000. So you don't have to have $1 million to retire. But if that's your goal, you can get there $5 at a time. It really is that simple and that small, because what you're building is you're building a muscle. It's not the amount of money that you invest, it's the muscle that you're building. I have built an investment muscle. I have built a frugal muscle. I have built a muscle for living on less than what I make. And people can't believe, well, he lives on 10% of his income. Nobody believes that that's possible. I know it's possible. One, I did geo arbitrage. I moved from Maryland to a lower cost of living area on purpose to lower my financial needs. Not everyone can do that. You have family that you want to be around. I get it. Not everyone has that freedom. I did it by choice because I don't care how much money I make. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. What I want to do is live on as little as possible so that I can live the life of my dreams. I am designing my future, and my future has travel. My future has saving up money to pay cash for a car. Those are future goals, which is why when we talked about a few weeks ago, having a digital vision board. Have your digital vision board for your investing. Whatever amount you're comfortable with that you want to get to, hopefully so that you can retire early, because you know that's my thing. I want you to enjoy life when you're young enough to get out there and really enjoy whatever life means to you. For me, I love to fish, right? Paz in Planola, who's out of New Orleans, he fishes for catfish, right? I want to go fishing with him. I'm hoping 2027 I go to New Orleans because it's 5 hours from me. I go to New Orleans and I go fishing. That's not me increasing my lifestyle. That's me enjoying what's important to me. And if a new fancy car is important to me, then that's what I'm going to do. You have to do what's important to you. And this is how we get to, if you want $1 million, if you want 2 million, if you want to leave 10 million to your family, if you want to give it to charity, whatever it is that you want to do. You know, I have a trust, right? Who ever heard of a guy coming from a homeless shelter now having a trust? Well, I have a trust because I want to be intentional about what happens to this money that I'm living on 10% of after I pass away. I'm very intentional about my future and about the future of the money. I'm not just going to give it and let somebody blow it, and I've worked hard all these years for it. I'm not doing it. Some people go, it doesn't matter, you're gone, doesn't matter what people do. It does to me. I want to be a beneficial presence on the planet. So eventually, this money, whatever it amounts to, will go to charity at some point, someday, whenever it's done doing whatever I've told it to do. And it's done helping the people that I told it to help. Then it is going to charity. Because I am not here to make a boatload of money. I am here to be a beneficial presence on the planet, but like the book Die With Zero, I'm going to enjoy this money. I am not here to say, oh, you should never spend your money. No. We talked about me flying first class to Europe. Will I be able to afford that someday? I don't know. But it's a dream. And I have to have a dream to make a dream come true. And so invest for your dreams. Invest for your future. If you want $1 million, you can have $1 million. That's easy. It's all about being consistent. It's all about being consistent. Now, I have one share, I believe, of Walmart. So I'll share that with everybody. I have one share of Walmart. Why? Because that's where I shop. I'm following Warren Buffett. And so I will buy more shares of Walmart because that's where I spend my money. So it makes sense to me. Whatever you know and you're comfortable with, that's what you do. Don't do what other people do. Do what works for you. And that's why I invest in real estate mostly. So we are almost out of time. I am going to stop the poll. Because last week, the hen house reminded me, Daryl, stop the poll, which I always forget. And for whatever reason, today I looked up and I said, I'm going to stop the poll while the live is still happening and show you all the results. Popped up. There we go. So, with the question, have you started investing yet? 65% said yes. 35% of you said no. And so for that 35%, start small. Start with $1. I mean, I don't know, you have to watch Lisa J. Stock's channel to learn about how little you can invest, like through Robinhood or Moo, these apps. Start with $1, if that's all you can do. $1 a paycheck. And you'll be surprised how starting that muscle, the savings muscle, the debt payoff muscle, the investing muscle, all we're doing here are reps. And I watch you guys pay off your debt, which gives me the encouragement to keep going to paying off my debts, even though life keeps hitting me. Life is going to happen. We have to stay the course. So, I have run through my hour. Oh, Lakeside Laura is here. Hi, Lakeside Laura. Beautiful singing bowls. If you guys want peace and serenity, go to Lakeside Laura's channel. That's where I gain a lot of peace when I'm going through all these financial hits that I'm taking. And just like in the stock market, I have real estate financial hits. No different. And so life is not, and investing is not just a straight road up. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, but over the long haul. That's what we're in here for. We're in here for the long haul. Our lives get better. So keep investing, make your million if that's what you want to do. But do it your way. Do it in a way that's comfortable for you. So I'm going to sign off, and next week we're going to talk about assets and liabilities, because that's where the whole retirement and retire early comes in. So thank you all for coming. We got through the investing part. We're keeping it simple, and we're staying consistent. Dollar cost averaging into whatever investment you are comfortable with and that works best for you and allows you to sleep at night. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to say again, never let your past determine your future. See you all next week.